Hey guys, welcome to CodeChef's YouTube channel. The problem that we are going to discuss today is odd sum. The problem appeared in October 21 Cook-Off and has a difficulty level of cakewalk. There are no prerequisites to solve this problem. The problem statement goes as follows. We are given an integer n and we have to consider all the arrays A of size n such that the following conditions are followed. First condition is that all the elements should be non-negative and should be distinct. Okay, so no two elements should be same and also all of them should be non-negative. That is from 0 and above. It is also given that all the prefix sums are odd. So what are prefix sum? Prefix sum means the addition of some first set of elements, that is starting from index 1 till some index I. If we take the addition of elements, it is called the prefix sum. Okay, so some set of elements of the from the beginning, okay, from the first index, that is called the prefix sum. So all such prefix sums should be odd. That is the sum of first element, sum of first two elements, sum of first three elements, all should be an odd number. So given these conditions, among all such possible arrays A, we have to output the smallest possible sum of elements of the array. Obviously, there are many ways to make such an array A that follow both these conditions, but we have to find such an array that has the smallest possible sum of all elements. And remember, we don't have to output the array, rather we have to output that smallest possible sum of all elements. So let's understand the same using an example. So let's take the simplest of the cases. So let's say what if n is equals to 1. So we want an array of size 1 such that all the elements are non-negative and distinct and also all the prefix sums are odd. So definitely you have only one choice, that is your array should look like this. It should have a single element, that is 1. What if the value of n was 2? Okay, let's find out the answer for n is equals to 2. For n is equals to 2, you can have the first element as 1 because the first element should be an odd number, right? Because the all the prefix sum should be odd, so the prefix sum of the only first element should also be odd. So the first number has to be an odd number and it should be as small as possible because we want the smallest possible sum. Now, what can be our second element? So if you carefully think, because we want to minimize the sum, we can simply put the second element as 0. Why? Because all the elements are distinct, they are non-negative, and also the prefix sums are odd. That is, sum of only one element is 1 and sum of first two elements is also 1. So in such manner, you can see that we are able to form the array, but these are very basic cases like n is equals to 1 and n is equals to 2. These are very trivial cases. Let's see the solution for any generalized n. So the solution approach goes as follows. For any given n, let's take an example of n is equals to 5. So for this given n, first of all, one thing is for sure, that your first element in the array has to be an odd number. And if you write down some examples, you will see that the first element, if you put it as 1, it is beneficial for you. Why? Because we know the same from the cases of n is equals to 1 and n is equals to 2. Okay, so let's fix our first element as 1. Okay, now for second element, what should be the choice for the second element? Think in terms of parity. Should it be an odd element or should it be an even element? Definitely, because your first element is an odd element and you want to maintain the prefix sums as odd, all the remaining elements in the array should be even elements. So except for the first elements, all the elements are going to be even elements. That is elements like 0, 2, 4, 6, 8 and so on. And now clearly, because you want to minimize the sum and you cannot use elements again and again, that is the elements have to be distinct, you will use the smallest of the even elements, right? Like for example, here we have n is equals to 5, one element is done, that is first element is 1, so 4 elements are remaining. So the remaining 4 elements will be the smallest of the 4 elements from this set, that is 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. So what we will put 0, 2, 4 and 6. So there we have it, an array of 5 elements such that all elements are non-negative, they are distinct, and also all the prefix sums are odd. Why they are odd? Because the first number was odd, okay, and then following all the numbers have to be even because we have to maintain the parity, right? Hence, we choose the smallest of the even elements 0, 2, 4, 6. But the question is that we don't have to output this array. We have to output the sum of this array. So here you can clearly see that the sum is 1 plus 2 plus 4 plus 6, and that is the sum is 13. So we need to actually find a formula. Why? Because the elements are in a pretty ordered manner. So we can find the formula for the same. So if you observe, the pattern goes something like this. For any given n, how is the array going to look like? For any given n, the array is going to look like the first element will be 1. Okay. The second element is going to be 0. And then the remaining elements are 2, 4, 6, 8, and so on up to the array length is finished. So how you can find the sum? The sum of the elements is going to be 1 plus twice into 1 plus 2 plus 3 and so on, right? And you know what is the formula for sum of first n natural numbers, that is 1 plus 2 plus 3. We know the formula, that is n into n plus 1 by 2. So you just have to count that how many of these numbers are going to be present. Okay, how many of these numbers like 2, 4, 6, 8 up to the last number are going to be present in the array, and that is very easy to find. Why? Because the total length was n. If you exclude the first two elements, these are total n minus 2 elements. So basically we want to find the sum of first n minus 2 even numbers, okay, starting from 2. So what is our formula? Our formula will look something like this. We have the first element as 1, then we have n minus 2 even numbers. So let's call this n minus 2 as n dash. So we have n dash into n dash plus 1 divided by 2, and into 2 will get cancelled. So there we have it. There is our formula, 1 plus n dash into n dash plus 1, where n dash is nothing but n minus 2. So definitely you have to do some case handling, that is you have to check what is the value of n. Some basic cases like n is equals to 1 has to be handled manually. So let's see the implementation in C++. The implementation will look like this. First we take the input for number of test cases, then we take the number n as our input, then we check if n is 1, our answer is simply 1. Okay, so we output that and continue to the next test case, or else we fix our sum as 1 because the first element is going to be 1. Then I subtract 2 from n and get my n dash, but here I am using the same variable as n. So I'm just subtracting 2 from n, and now the sum has to be incremented by n into n plus 1, which you can see over here as n dash into n dash plus 1. Okay, in my code it is n into n plus 1 because I had changed the variable n itself. And that's it. We have our sum over here. So you don't need to calculate the or make the actual array. You just need the sum. So we just found out the formula and directly calculate the answer. So this code is correct and gives AC, but remember to always check the correctness. We have to submit the code on CodeChef ID. So let's do that to check the correctness of the code. So I'll go copy the code, paste it on the IDE, select the language as the latest C++, and then submit. And now we just have to wait for the AC verdict. Great, so our solution works. I hope you guys understood the problem as well as the solution. If you have any doubts, you can post them in the comments below. I'll try to answer as much as I can.